Sisters, we are back for a part two Saint Sister conversation. Both Karen and we're in it. We're ready to have a part two about women's safety after the CNN report of the 60 million views of thousands of videos of drugged women being abused. This episode, though, we're looking for solutions. We're looking for solutions by women, for women. We're looking at individual healing, and we're looking for positive actions that men can take, to basically stop other men abusing. Yes, raping, abusing, hurting women and other men. So before we get going, it has been a few weeks since this story landed. So I want to check in with all of you listeners just to be able to internally name what you're feeling right now. And before we start the conversation, I want to just check in with you, Karen. How are you today?
Shaky. I'm a little bit better now because we've had a bit of a pre-conversation, but it's definitely brought up a lot of micro stories and big stories too. These stories are my life experiences, so it's definitely affected me in a very deeply intense way, even though I've done years and years and years and years and years of deep healing around the area of sex and sexual crimes. So it really takes me into a place where I go, God, this just does not get any easier. Whilst I can go away and do the healing work and I can regulate my nervous system, and I know that I have a huge power inside me and a huge capability, I can cope with a lot and I can support others to manage theirs. So I know all of that is true, and yet it takes me down. And talking about it, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be talking about it. I want to just get on with my life and pretend it's not happening. But that's not the life that I have chosen for myself as a survivor. Like, I knew that wasn't going to work for me, and I did try it. I tried to ignore, and it made me very ill. So I do want to sort of say that out loud, for any women that are, listening and thinking, I don't want to go there, I don't want to go there. It will make you very, very sick in the long run. I was lucky that the sickness came quite quick and I had to deal with it. But when I looked at my life, I realised that I'd hidden so many things and ignored so many things from myself that I didn't want. I was too scared to go there. And, sometimes it takes something to open the door back and go back and do the work. That was definitely my experience. So I want to say that if you're listening, if you're looking in and you're thinking, I can't ignore this, perhaps there is something there for you that requires your attention. And through love and compassion and doing the work with experts, we're going to talk about support, aren't we, later, that you will be able to create a sense of acceptance, a sense of relief, but you'll never forget it. And that's what I want to say. And I don't think we're designed to forget the things that happen to us that change us, change our lives. So that's where I am. It's a lot of words from me. Lucy, where are you?
I'm in a space of, I would say, a bit more hope than I had before. I'm still very angry. I am a bit shaky as well because memories and feelings keep popping up, and rather than suppressing them, I'm meeting them, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I haven't seen or experienced or remembered you for a little while, so yeah, I'm letting them come up. But after we recorded episode 1, the intention was to record episode 2, and I just said I can't do this. I need time out, and I feel like that's where I've been quite a lot over the last few weeks. It's like step in, but then I have to retreat and process and look after myself. But the hope comes because there's this collective energy that I feel building. Women are sharing, they are making suggestions for solutions, and every story that is being heard is being expressed, should I say, is being heard and validated. Yes, there are the trolls. Yes, there are the men and women, but mainly men, who are just getting stuck on the, well, was it views or was it people or da da da, who cares? the women who are stepping forward and saying, even just putting a love heart, or a caring emoji next to somebody's comment where they've said this happened to me, or I get this. That's what gives me hope. The women are gathering, and I know personally that when I try and do this life thing on my own, everything feels harder. But when I see other women supporting me, talking about their experience, it makes me braver to be able to share my own story. And although it's been tough remembering stuff from my past, I don't feel alone in it anymore. And so that's why I would say overarchingly there is hope. And so with that in mind, I wanted us to spend a little bit of time just talking about some of the things that women collectively are doing or suggesting or gathering to do in this horrible, horrible time that we are living through.
I want to
Um,
say I love this about you because I'm a deep feeler. Not that you're not, because you are too, but I go into the feelings and I stay there like in the washing machine for quite a long time, and I come out the other side and I get into action. But you're like, you always bring, I mean, I'm an optimist, but you're supercharged optimism. Like
yeah,
you go even beyond what I go beyond. And I love that about you, and I love being in the space with you for that, because you'll always go there and find, these glimmers that are there, that are all around us. And you inspire me for that. And I'm grateful. So I
thank
want to
you.
say thank you for that, because this is so needed in the world. We do need to talk about the glimmers of hope, the glimmers of positive action, and how we're changing things, and how things, yeah, let's just stick with that, how we're changing things. So come on, Lucy, load me up.
Okay, so and I will just say thank you for that. I've always been told that I am one of those natural leaders, but it's because I lead people and myself and everything that I'm doing towards hope, because there's always got to be a better way. But what we're now seeing is other people starting to believe it too. Um, so some of the things that I have seen happening, gathering, well, there was a call for a database to actually let's name our abusers. Now, that's good if you know the person's name, but even just going on there anonymously and saying, this happened to me, and just stating it out there for the record is incredibly empowering. And rather than having 62 million views of stuff, there may just be 62 million testimonies of this happened to me in my lifetime. And there was one where, and so a website was set up. It was very much in the States, because it said, it was literally name, city or town, and state where it happened, so that people might be able to go back and say, am I dating this man? Is this somebody who I've like swiped
Yeah.
right on? Now in the UK, we've already got a database, but only for convictions. So there's Claire's Law and Sarah's Law. One is for men who have been convicted of hurting children, and the other one is for men who have hurt women. So you can already go and look at that. But actually, we know that a lot of these assaults are happening while we're asleep and we don't even know about it.
And a lot of women do not report
They
as
don't.
well. And so there is that side of it, like that lives inside each woman, I think, when you don't go to the police and you don't, go there and say, this has happened to me. But there are so many reasons why women don't. So let's add some compassion in here. If you think that it's 1 in 3 in the UK, that's the stat. We know it's much more than that.
Yeah.
So there's that side of it as well, isn't there, where these names are not going to the police, and then to get a conviction, it's also extremely hard.
So, which is why it's been really empowering and hopeful to see. I mean, it's happening over all of the social media platforms, but over on Threads, there's been lots and lots of different threads forming where women, predominantly women, have started to just say either a name, or they've been omitting the name and saying, I was 22 and this happened. I was walking home and this happened. So they're starting to share their stories. And the reason why this gives me so much hope is because before we were silent about it. We were scared to speak up because you know how the press, the courts, the police, they're conditioned to go after the women. Oh, she's just after the money. Oh, she's a home wrecker. Oh, she's jealous. That's why she's trying to ruin a man's life. Whereas now we're just saying, no, we don't. In fact, we don't trust the legal system to convict this men, but we're just going to name our abuse.
Yeah.
So that gives me hope, because then it's like, okay, there's the 60 million over there. Here's another 60 million that actually is empowering for women. So it's entirely up to any of you listeners what you do with your information, because it's yours. But what I would say is, go have a look if you feel strong enough, because these stories are actually incredibly empowering. And one reply really, really stood out for me, and it was an 82-year-old woman, and she said, "You generation inspire me so much." She said, "Back in my day, when it happened to me, the last thing you would ever have done is spoken to anybody." And she says, "And this is the first time I've ever said out loud, it happened to me." And she said, "And I was 19, and I was whatever the story was." And she just said, "Thank you." And I thought, wow, this isn't just about the young women. It isn't about Gen X women just like coming out and fighting. This is impacting women who have lived for 80 years on this planet and have never told a soul. And the support that she got, and all the love hearts, and the "we hear you, you're so brave, blah de blah." It was amazing. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm just thinking that when I had a quick look and I saw that Donald Trump was on there, and I whooped. And I didn't go any further than that, but I was like, it did something inside me that was like, and I've been having a lot of those experiences recently where I see something positive. This week's been harder for that because I've really struggled this week, but in the weeks before, I'm having these like crazy emotional outbursts of things, and there's a lot of happiness, there's been a lot of joy and just celebration, and it's like, and also I've seen things that I've thought that's really beautiful, and I've just sat on the sofa in front of everyone and started crying, and then going, look how beautiful this is, and I'm showing like my husband something, and he's like, "You all right?" And I'm like, yes, like this is me. This is the real me when I'm unfiltered. I am highly emotional, and if I see something, you're gonna know I have enjoyed it. You're also gonna know if I'm angry. So I whooped at that, and I was like, yes, like we all know he's guilty. You know, but to see his name on there was just like a
Yeah.
moment of like, I don't, yeah, I don't. I'm saying joy. It wasn't joy, but it was just pure like, thank God, like he's been
Yes.
named, even though we know he's been named because he's in the Epstein files, and there's
But
countless.
it was like, it's really claiming it. It was like, yeah, actually, Donald Trump was my abuser. Um, but there were the amount that were like, I was in a sorority house, or I was at a frat party, or I was walking home after visiting my nan. And it just goes to show that every single woman on there has done the things that every single woman does. We walk home, we, visit a garage in the evening to get fuel. We go to a party. We go on holiday with friends. We, get into taxis with people. These are just normal everyday things. And so therefore we feel a bit of shame when it happens to us. We're like, oh my God, what did I do? Why me? Was I stupid? And actually, no, there was an abuser who saw you and took an opportunity.
Yeah,
None of this is with you. And I think Giselle saying shame must switch sides has ignited something
yeah,
within women. So I will say that there is so much positive content out there on social media for you to be able to feel like you're not alone. And even if you don't comment, just reading some of these comments is phenomenal. And of course, we are seeing like people saying, "Oh, well, you can get arrested for slander or libel for writing
oh,
that stuff." We're like, "Oh, yes, another way to silence the women. Come
then
on,
that,
let's
yeah, we've been there. I
throw
mean,
the
that
law at
that's
them."
I've talked about this before in another podcast. That's exactly what happened to me. When I confronted my abuser, and what I got back was, this is liable. I will sue you. You're making it up. It's because you're having
Silence, woman.
infertility issues. I mean, you name it. It got thrown in my direction, and part of me was like, God, yeah, he could go to the police
Mm.
and say that I'm creating slander for him. He could. It was like, if you continue, this is what's going to happen. And I was scared about that because I knew this guy was a lunatic by now. But then I was like, you go to the police, you're going to be, it's going to be very much out,
Yeah.
what you've just done. So you can
And
take it
that will
any way you
carry him
want.
around. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would carry him around, that seeded out forever.
Yeah, and not only
Um,
that, a lot of people knew what he'd done because I told a lot of people.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
word got out, and the word got out around his business, and the word got
Mm.
out around the industry that he works in because people made sure it did. So yeah, so it's one of those, isn't it? But all of that stuff that gets sort of sent back to us, it's almost like, yeah, they could do that, and yet I'm still going to stand in my truth. I'm still going to stand in my power.
Well, I think this is what gave me hope. It was like, well, actually, if there were, let's just say there were 62 million um, stories on this database. Are there going to be 62 million libel cases going through the courts? I doubt it. You know,
Mm.
it's like, go on, threaten us, but there are more of us than you almost. Um, and there was also the fact that one of the women had written, it was like, do you know what? We've tried being silent. We've tried doing the be safe and not go down the legal route. None of that's worked because there's 62 million of you downloading this stuff.
Yeah,
There's also another TikTok trend with men who are showing videos of what they do if their women refuse sex. And some of them have got like mannequins and they're stabbing them or they're beating them up and punching them. And this is like quite a trend on over on TikTok. So again, it's like, okay, if your partner has abused you, name it, say it, do it, even if it's just telling a friend or telling their future partner, just get the message out that these people are not safe, however you do it. But there's also, I don't know whether you saw in the news a couple of weeks ago that the first ever conviction, it was in Scotland,
yeah,
for a man being sent down for, oh, well, it wasn't murder, manslaughter, or it
manslaughter.
should
Yeah,
be
I saw
woman
that,
slaughter.
and he got
Yeah,
off
let's
yesterday,
name
didn't
it
he?
woman slaughter
Yeah,
because it.
he got it off. He got off yesterday. I saw that, and there's
Oh
an
no, that was
amazing.
no. This is a different one. So
Ah,
in Scotland he got convicted, and
celebrate
for
that.
woman slaughter.
Yeah,
But the guy in England, he got off. But let's face it, no, every single woman knows he did do those things. There
yeah,
just wasn't enough evidence to be able to say without reasonable doubt. But the more and more we are highlighting, and the Crown Prosecution Service are trying to put these cases forward, it gives us hope because it's not just women talking about it
yeah,
openly without shame and saying this happened to me. It's also the system saying, and if this does happen, we are going to show you that if you harass people, you will end up in court. If you harass somebody at work, your company will be fined and measures put in place. If you drive your partner to suicide just to escape you, you will be done for man stroke woman slaughter.
yeah.
So I feel like this is why I do have hope, and it's fueled with a lot of anger, but things are starting to change. And there are lots of petitions out there that you can go and sign on all kinds of women's matters. But actually, that all that means is you just put your name on a link to say yes, support this, or no, I don't support that. So that's like almost like the easiest thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Um, but another thing, because well, we're both a little bit witchy, but I've seen calls for global prayers or spells or
Yeah.
calls to release burned stuff on certain days or at certain times. And again, that's creating some kind of energetic shift as well.
I say a prayer every single night before I go to bed because I'm desperate. And when I get desperate, I pray. And it's not even that I have a set religion or anything like that anymore. It's just, God, spirit, source. What I don't even care what the word is, but it's like that universal energy of love. I pray to that and I pray and I just say, please help us. Like we are so lost. Please help, these men to make better decisions. Please help them to connect back to their hearts. Please help them to feel. the devastation of what they're creating. Like I get into it, and because I'm like, I really, really want the world to be differently, and I think this is where I get into this very shaky, despairing energy, which I have to feel it to release it. So I have to go into it. I cannot ignore it, and I do go into it, and then I get out the other side. But it can take me a bit of time. But if I can sort of add my hope and turn it back into something else, and that night prayer for me is becoming a solid place to go. I've even been to church the last two. I've gone back to church and I went with my mum the last two Sundays. I started Easter Sunday, not because I'm particularly religious, because I'm really not these days, but it's to go into a space where there's a lot of silence, there's a lot of reverence, people are praying, there is hope in the messaging, there's incense being wafted around, I like the smells, and just to be there next to my mum, which I feel is very, very important. There's a significance in that for me because she's getting older and older and older, and being like, for this 1 hour we are together, she's very religious, I can support her in that, and I get to go and do whatever I need to do internally. And it's becoming like, it's just 2 weeks in, and I feel like this is a positive movement for me, because it gives me space, it gives me quiet, it gives me the sense of zoning out sometimes as well, and being away from the home. So I've started to do that, and I can't quite believe I'm saying it out loud because it feels quite abstract still. But yeah, anywhere I can go to now, where I can find that sense of peace, where I can feel like I
We
can
need it. We
ask for
all need that
something
peace.
bigger than connect to something bigger
Yeah.
than me, ask for something that's
Yeah.
bigger and more important than me, and really get into that. So I'm playing around a little bit with it and trying different things, as you know, but that's been something that has really helped me, just to be like,
Mm.
get out of your pit, Karen, get out of your pit, feel the feelings, and get out there and start connecting to something that is going to lift me, and hopefully have that. We talk about the ripple effect all the time, don't we? Like, I want to be part of the positive ripple effect, and I do everything that I can to be part of that.
But equally, the women's peer circles that we do through Wise Women Lead is exactly that. It's that gathering, creating that safe space where women can gather and go through that processing, say what needs to be said, and then shift something. So when they leave the session, they just feel something has transformed within them. And
Yeah,
I go to my own women's circle every month. I also go for my nature walks, often alone in, complete silence. So whether it's a church or, I absolutely advocate getting a women's circle together, even whether, I don't know, it's a bit of Prosecco or it's a bit of knitting, walking, hiking, dancing, whatever your thing is, we need women to gather. And you
it's
standing by your mum is just beautiful.
yeah, and for me, it's. I mean, that is one form of expression of how I can, like, connect in words, but be next to her. So I'd go anywhere really. If she wanted to sit on a park bench,
Yeah.
I could do that for an hour with her and equally get what I get in that space. So that's important. But the women's group thing is really important because it's that loneliness. Like, is it only me? And when we have the conversations, as we know, because we've got each other, we realize that we've been through exactly the same things, and we
Yes.
are struggling with exactly the same things, and sometimes we've got antidotes for each other because we're a
Yeah.
bit further along the journey, or we just know something, and and that really, really helps. And other times we do the work together, and we're both at exactly the same place, and it's really amazing what happens. Because if I say something and then you go, that exactly happened to me, and I go, oh my God, it's not just me. And the thing with us in our work is that we can hold space, we can create the right environment, a sense of safety, a sense of wonder, or you might say, a sense of like creating visions. And so when we all plug into that, something miraculous happens, and you can feel it. And when we know that we're feeling it, we know we're in our bodies, and that's where our power lies. And so, I'm saying to all of the women listening, go find your tribe, go find your group. If you don't know, get in touch with us and come and join our groups, because this is where we start to feel a true sense of woman, who we are, what we're here to do, looking at the past, coming into the present, and then shaping the future in a different way. Like, I don't know anything else that is more important right now in the world. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I do want to talk
And
about something
what I was
else.
just, no, what I was going to say was, the fact is, we know how powerful this is, but actually, the systems knew this too, which is why it became illegal for women to gather,
Yeah,
and then all the stigma around it. And so, actually, it's just really badass to to meet as women, and just give a big FU to the system that tries to stop us. So that's just me, because I always feel so empowered and like, yes, this is for all of my ancestors that were never allowed to do this. I get to do this.
yeah. And
Um,
our inner peace is vital. That we
yes.
can find a place of inner peace, however we find it. And if we are cultivating that in a really conscious way, and we're doing it with others, that's a huge ripple. And I want to say that that is non-negotiable, and that is not, anyone's right to take that from us. They will try and take it from us, and they will succeed sometimes. That it will be gone because something's happened. However, when we return, we do the work, we acknowledge what's happening, and we go deeper and deeper, and we transform. Our emotions want to move. They don't want to stay stuck in our bodies. That's why we get flashes, and we don't know what to do with the flash. Like, it might be a flash of anger or jealousy or whatever it might be, and we don't know what to do with it. And so we're like, oh, and then we get rigid and tight. But it's coming up. It needs permission and space to go, to be moved through, and to get the message and to move out. So this is also really, really important, and it's what the patriarchal system does not want us to do, because women who can handle their emotions, who know what to do with them, who know how to get the messages, who know how to form groups together and organize themselves, well, that's a threat to them. So, and I also want to say, like, inner peace and happiness is the other theme that I see coming through a lot, where it's like, I'm just not happy. Like, I have lost something in myself. I'm not happy. And it can feel a little bit frivolous in the world when we've got wars going on, we've got abuse
But there's
happening.
always been wars going on.
There's
Nothing
all Yes,
changes.
there has, and so there is something again about, like, plugging back into those higher senses, those higher frequencies and emotions. That it's like, who are you not to do that? Because this is also part of our makeup as human beings, that we get to choose and we get to create and we get to wake up. It's really, really important, and I just refuse now. I will go into despair, but you can guarantee that I'll do the work that gets me out of despair, gets me creating, moving in a different way, and gets me back out, up and out, so that I can live my very, 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 very best expression that day. That's something that I promised myself, and that's something that I will continue to do, and no one's going to take
Say
that away
it,
from me.
sister. That's what I got to say to that. Absolutely. Um, let's just touch a little bit on, because we've talked about the groups and gathering as women, and um, so powerful, but there is a lot of support that one can do to help their individual journey, so that they can get to that space where they know how to release and how to get creative and how to move. Now, I know for you, you did lots of trauma informed therapy,
Yeah.
and you do tapping. Do you want to just speak to that briefly before we then go on and talk about some of the others?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, the EFT based tapping with scripts and keywords, and also using like the feelings in the body, and getting into, like, even shame, for example, like, it coils itself around us, and it can hide. And so when we start to do deeper work, things can start to rise, and it needs a place to go. And for me, the EFT based tapping, and really sort of consciously saying, this is not my shame, this belongs to you, and you name the person, and you see the person opposite you, and you hand it back. And that might be just like, feel it, because we acknowledge it first. We say, I'm holding this shame, and when we tap, the body and the mind work really well together. And there's these different key points. Acupuncture works into the same areas, and it just helps the body to go, oh, this is what we're doing now. It's safe for me. This is my space. It's safe for me to let these things move through. The brain gets involved, because the brain is part of the body. They work together. The words that you say out loud, the body allowing things to move, you know, visualizing, seeing, handing the things back that were never ours to carry, shame being the one we're talking about a lot today, and something happens, there is like a feeling of release. And when we do it with another person, we know we're held. And
Well, I do it in my women's circle. It is an EFT group. And so when you've
yes,
got 6, 10, 12 women all tapping and saying it together, we're all going through our own releasing of whatever we need to release, but everybody feels lighter as they leave
yeah,
after 2 hours together.
absolutely.
Um, so again, I wanted you to share because you've done so much of this and you practice it regularly, whereas I just wanted to just say to everybody, yeah, it sounds woo woo, but actually, modern medicine and whatever, it doesn't work for all. It's not accessible for all. So, actually, this is just something that you can do either in a group with a trauma-informed EFT practitioner or just do it on your own. It is absolutely liberating.
Yeah, and
So,
there's
yeah.
obviously there's the counselling route, which I've also done, which has been brilliant and really, really supportive. There are so many different forms. I think the thing with the holistic work is it's very much body, mind, spirit, and soul coming together, and that's really important, supplemented with other things often as well. And the thing with traditional medicine is that's often about suppressing the feelings, numbing, minimalizing it so people can function and actually cope with everyday life. And there's definitely a place for that. It's not a route that I've ever taken because I felt like if I do that and start shutting down my emotions, I'll probably get really sick somewhere. So for me, that was never an option, even though I have thought about it so many times. Like maybe I should just take a pill, maybe I should take a pill, maybe that will help me with my pain. But actually, I always look at myself and go, you've got the tools, you know who the people are to go to. No, that's not the road that we are going to take. But I do see that for many, that is their option. But I would say supplement it with other things, do the talking therapies, just commit to yourself that no matter what, you will take care of your own needs because that's ultimately what we're here to do. We're here to heal, not
And
to forget.
yeah, part of this podcast, us coming together, was from you and I processing our stuff together. We were talking about it and then we moved on to recording it. So even by listening to this podcast, you are doing some form of self-healing. And then start writing. I'm an avid writer now, and I keep all my journals. I never go back and face them, but maybe one day I will. But it's everything that I'm thinking, I'm feeling, I'm angry about, I'm remembering, and I'm getting it out there. And as I'm writing, it's making sense of stuff for me. But you can equally go and find specialist support. One of my friends has done a lot of healing, what we call womb healing
Yeah.
and hypnosis that takes her back to when she felt truly safe.
Yeah.
So she can remember what it feels like to feel safe and from there move forward. So everything is out there for all of us. Now, on another personal level, what you can also do is join advocacy groups so that again, even you may not feel like you're ready to heal, but you might have this anger and you need it to go somewhere. So actually direct it into advocacy groups that are enabling others to make the change on your behalf. Maybe even write to your MP for better cybercrime legislation or better legislation when handling or managing victims of abuse in the legal process. That whatever the thing is that you're angry about, there is a channel for you to join. And we will post some of the groups in the bio afterwards so that you've got all of them. But yeah, I just don't want you to feel like I've got all of these feelings and I don't know what to do about it, because there's some of it is processing, some of it is getting into action and being able to do something. So the final bit then, go on, let's talk about the men. Apart from just stop hurting women, let's
Yeah.
go there. What
Well,
suggestions have you got for the
as I
men in
was
our
as
lives?
I was looking at this, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like when girls get periods. So basically, as a mother, I'm looking at Catalina and I'm seeing some little changes, and I'm like, I really want to make sure she's aware of her body's going to change and what's going to happen before she has her first period. That's really important to me. So she doesn't just have a period and be like, what the hell's happening to me? I'm bleeding. So that's that. And then I was thinking about, this whole thing around looking at your children, like, so that would be the thing for girls. Obviously, there are other things that we're looking out for as well. But for boys, it's like, watch your children. Watch what they're doing, watch where they're spending their time, watch what they're playing on, watch what their behaviour's doing, watch your children and watch them very closely and have the conversations before they're so far in. Because just as with the periods example, our kids need a certain amount of appropriate information before they get hooked onto things. And I think that's really, really important. And I honestly think that the days of just giving your kids like tablets and in headphones and letting them sit there, because I see so many parents doing it everywhere you go, you know what I mean? The kids have got the headphones on and they can probably see what they're doing and what they're watching, but it's they're in their own silo. And so where's the engagement? So that's my thing. If we can take care of our children in a really good way, then we have hope, because some of these men are too far gone down the line now. So that's
I'll speak to the men who are too far down the line, or the grown-up men, should I say. Let's talk about the grown-up men. Because what I want you to do, men, is just to call out the bad behaviour. So if your friend is harassing women when you go out on a night, say, man, stop it. Let them have fun on their own. They don't need you being a jerk. And do it with your full gusto. Not like, all kind of passive or make it into a jokey banter. No, stand up to them, name it for what it is. Just saying you're being a lech, you're being a creep, or why are you checking out that 14-year-old in a school uniform? That's gross, man. Stop it. So that's the first thing. Men, check your men. We always say, you are the 5 people you hang around with most. So make sure you surround yourself with good men. On International Women's Day, there was an event for men to go and learn how to plait their daughter's hair.
Yeah,
And
lovely.
it was just phenomenal. And now these groups are opening up all over the world, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And these are really great men who stand in their masculinity and they know themselves and how they want to be a role model for their sons and daughters. Be those men.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with those men, because the other ones who, through group banter, peer pressure, staying silent when you're seeing the bad behaviours, all you're doing is supporting it and enabling it. So that's my first thing. Men, check your men. Be the
I just
man
want to
that
share as well,
sends.
like,
Go on.
Rich, we went to ballet to take Kathleen to ballet on Saturday, and Rich is a little bit ahead with Kathleen now, holding her hand. He's also got the dog, like, so how we managed all that, and he's got a bag. He's got a pink, like, shoe, like really fancy girl thing. It's like a shoe bag and it's round and it's got ballet, and he's holding this bag and he's walking along, and I was sort of a little bit further back, and I was looking at him thinking, oh my god, that's just the cutest picture ever. So I took a quick picture, because I was like, I'm just in love with what I'm seeing, like, there, and he's totally oblivious to the fact that he's walking.
And you know what? There's nothing sexier,
Because he doesn't
is there?
care whether it's a pink bloody bag, but like, he's enough of a person in his own right, and he's got enough self-worth to not give a shit about something like that. And that's the thing. It's like plaiting your daughter's hair. It's like, there's just something really, and I know it feels like a small gesture, yeah, but it's like showing up, saying, I'm showing up for my daughter. I'm showing, and of course I'm going to do that, because why would I not?
Yeah. Totally. And there are some, on social media as well, there's some great influencers out there who are actually talking about the positive side of masculinity, of how to be a good man. And so one of them was brilliant. Well, this was actually a woman that was saying it. It was an African woman. And she said, well, it's quite simple. If you think you are going to rape somebody, call for help. Tell your friend, help me, stop me from doing this. Blow a whistle. Get first aid to, stop you doing these dreadful things. And it's just like so simple, isn't it? It's like, actually, if you think you're going to rape somebody,
Go
don't.
get help. Go get some
Yeah,
help.
get some
Seriously.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because there is a
simple as
thing.
that.
I remember doing a coaching thing on the streets once, and one of the coaches went over to a guy who was homeless and said, would you like to have a conversation? We're doing free coaching. And so we did a coaching conversation on the street with this guy, and the guy said, thank you so much, because when I go quiet, I know that's when I'm going to do something bad. But having the space to talk with you has helped me to sort of move through that. And now I know that I'm not going to do it. Now, what he was going to do, no idea. But it's that, isn't it? It's that. Like, if
Men
you are
need to be
in
able to
this,
talk to men.
take a look at yourself,
Yeah.
see how deep you're getting involved, and then think, hold on a minute, what do I need that's making me think that this is plausible and okay? What do I need to do? And then go do your work. Because it's the only way I can see. I just don't know how anyone can get out of this sort of crap without doing your own personal work. As simple as that. Because this is,
Oh no,
this is
they
their
need
fault.
they need to do their work, but they also need male role models who are talking openly about them doing their own work. Um, Whether it's them going to therapy or them reading books written by women. Well, who'd have thought it, you know? Because everything is still through the male gaze. But when men watch, read, observe, listen to women's stories, they start to grow some empathy. So even if it's on your Kindle, so nobody sees what book you're actually reading, or you're listening to some women's podcasts, you know, send some of these to the men. It helps them build empathy and to start to understand what it's like for their sisters, their wives, their mothers, their daughters. And I would also say to men, speak up when you're witnessing harmful behaviour. If you see a bloke treating a woman badly, even if you don't know them, they don't need to be your mates, but sometimes you just need to go over and just say to the woman, are you okay?
Yeah.
Do you need any help? Do you want to just take a pause here and focus your energy on her and just say, I'm here for you if you need it? Because this is the protective energy that we want from our men.
Yeah.
Just to say, you know, you're not going to go and start a fight with him and put the energy on him. You're actually just going to make sure that I am safe first.
Yeah.
Believe her. Don't try and mansplain statistics or data or belittle her or gaslight her into saying what she's saying isn't true. If she's saying something about her lived experience, just believe her. You know, the number of times, why didn't she go to the police? Well, why don't you ask her? Why don't you just genuinely listen without judgment? Just be curious. Why didn't you feel safe enough to go to the police? Because I've never been to the police with regards to any of my harassment or assaults, and I have very valid reasons.
Same.
Yeah, so just ask. And for a lot of them, I didn't know the answer. I didn't know why I didn't, but actually now I know it was
Now you know
just
the answers, though,
it's
don't you?
it's
Time
fear,
gives you that. Yeah,
just
absolutely.
fear. End of. And the other thing I would say is men support women-led initiatives. Call yourself a feminist. Amplify the voices of women who are actually doing great work. Because unfortunately, men don't really listen to women, but men listen to other men. So if you are supporting, amplifying, making really positive comments on posts about women's experiences or advocating, men are more likely to then see it as a social norm that, oh, okay, it's acceptable to behave like that. So just be that dude, please.
Yeah, and I mean, that does bring up one thing for me, which is about if you are a woman who is struggling with this, then speak to your partner. Because if he can't have the conversation with you, then there's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, I am speaking to Rich about this. He doesn't really want to talk about it, but I just can't help myself because I'm like, it's coming through, and I'm like, this is really affecting me. And he'll listen to me. He listens. He doesn't really have much to say, but he does listen, and I know he digests and processes it all. We're just different in that way, but it is important that we can have these conversations with our partners, because if we're living at home with somebody and we're going through something that's extremely painful, you can choose what you want to share. You know, you don't have to go into graphic details, but you can certainly say, this is affecting me, I'm deeply upset, and what do you think? You know, that's what I said to Rich, like, what do you think? And he's like, I'm shocked. So we talked about this in the last one, but I do think it is important that we are able to have these conversations, and if we can't, then we sort of need to ask questions about that. Because why should we?
And that's where we will put things like End Violence Against Women Coalition, or Victim Support, Survivors Trust, Women's Aid. We'll put all of those details in our show notes, because if you can't talk to your partner about it, or if they're the ones that are actually doing the harm, you need another outlet. We're always here if you want to drop us a note, but equally we will signpost you to where you can get some help. So that's the end of this conversation, and I've got to say I do feel better than the last conversation because this one is a bit more hopeful. Like, there are things that we can do to change this, these glimmers of hope, but I'm going to let you sign out, Karen.
We want to say that we refuse to let the terror silence us, and we also agree to take time to process how we're feeling. We want collective action, vision and support. We want to end this now, but we know that we've still got, a big long journey ahead. And we want to say that we're here, we're healing, and nobody's alone in this work. We're all together. Thank you for listening, and keep saying it, sister. Lovely. That does feel